Bioshock is a story-driven first-person shooter that drops you into one of the most memorable settings in gaming history. This is a fallen, isolated city built underwater called Rapture, a bold idea that completely unraveled. From the moment you arrive, the game pulls you in with its atmosphere, its music, and environmental storytelling that makes the world feel alive. However, the more you explore Rapture, you begin to see that everything is not as it seems. I played Bioshock for the first time in 2025. This was a game I always wanted to play, but I kept putting it off for one reason or another, until I recently decided it was time to give it a try. What makes Bioshock special isn't just the setting, but how it blends story, gameplay, and philosophy. You're constantly uncovering what went wrong, whose fault it was, and why everything collapsed, all while surviving tense encounters that put your creativity to the test. This game lets you experiment with unique abilities and weapons in ways that feel empowering and clever, not repetitive. There is a range of different weapons you discover throughout your playthrough, each one better for different circumstances. As you play through the game, you unlock new plasmids, which is a strange, genetically driven magic that allows you to electrocute, freeze, or incinerate enemies. The first thing I noticed immediately when starting this game was the atmosphere. Everywhere you look, there's a story to be told. Flickering lights, echoing hallways, and sounds that make you pause before turning a corner. Rapture feels alive and haunted. It's as if you're visiting the memory of the place rather than actually being there yourself. Atmosphere is something that can go unnoticed. However, there are certain games that just get it right, and when they do, it uplifts the entire experience. An example of this is Bloodborne, where the colours and music and feeling of the game are perfect. To me, Bioshock feels similar to this. The reason I believe this works in Bioshock is because it all seems so natural and effortless. Nothing is there to impress you. Nothing is forced. Every sound you hear, every poster on the wall, anything at all you experience in Rapture is there to serve the world. You aren't rushed with constant action. Instead, you're compelled with curiosity. This makes the game feel immersive in ways other games struggle with. It makes the game deeply memorable. Rapture is a place that will stay with you long after you've left the city behind. Like atmosphere, the next thing Bioshock excels at is its story. As I mentioned before, it feels so seamless and natural. There are no cutscenes dumping information on you. Instead, you are drip-fed information through audio tapes found in the world, and you slowly piece the story together yourself. These audio tapes give voice to the people who inhabited the city before everything fell apart, adding personality, emotion, and context all within a few lines of dialogue. It builds on the experience by making it feel human. It turns the lore from background history into something you live through, compelling you to move forward yourself and find out what happened next, and also to find out why you find yourself in this position. The main characters of the story are interesting as they each represent a different way of thinking and living within Rapture. Through these figures, the game explores philosophical ideas like ambition, freedom, control, humanity, and the cost of power. These themes are woven in naturally. They are expressed through gameplay and setting instead of being described through the dialogue. Each character acts in their beliefs, making decisions as they would generally make in real life, and you as the player have to struggle through this and find yourself questioning who is the bad guy in each scenario. The completed story of Bioshock feels earned. You are left with questions unanswered, but you better understand the world around you, the people of Rapture, why things fell apart and what your role is in all of it. The twists and turns in the story will keep you on the edge of your seat right to the final scene, and once you've completed it, it will change everything you thought you knew up to that point. Combat in Bioshock feels very different than combat in a lot of other games. It focuses on creativity and adaptability. You rarely succeed on firepower alone. You're given a range of tools and are encouraged to think on how you can best utilise these together instead of plainly focusing on doing the most damage possible. Fights feel like puzzles, where you use the environment, positioning, timing, and experimentation to deal with enemies, allowing for a unique playthrough each time. This is something I personally really liked. Earlier in the game, I found the combat a bit stale. I'm not a huge fan of first-person shooters anyway, and I immediately grew bored of running around and shooting enemies. After a short while, I learned there's much more to it than just shooting blankly at every splicer I saw, and immediately my concerns were forgotten. Once I learned how to use my plasmids and weapons efficiently, the game became much more flexible, and I was able to better use the environment to keep encounters fresh moving forward. Maybe better than any other game I've played, Bioshock absolutely nails stress and makes you feel uneasy throughout the whole game. This is not a traditional horror game, however it definitely leans into those themes and borrows just enough to make you feel unsettled at all times. You're often low on resources like ammo or medkits, and you'll find yourself creeping through hallways, praying you don't come across an enemy. At these times, you'll be under constant stress from the environment and noises you hear as you travel. The thought of encountering a big daddy while desperately searching for a vending machine will create tension and anxiety that rarely lets up. One thing I didn't like about this, though, was I found myself low on resources way too often. For the entire second half of the game, I was constantly low on ammo on every weapon and had maybe just 1 or 2 medkits to survive on. After a while, this felt less like healthy stress that the game tried hard to impress on you, and more just sheer annoyance as you try to fight off multiple enemies with just your wrench. Anticipation is used extremely well. Quiet hallways feel just as threatening as actual fights. Unfamiliar noises will make you freeze on the spot. The game constantly sways, making you never feel entirely safe. The reason stress works so well in Bioshock is because it's not scripted. There's no jump scares, it's the knowledge that you are alone and vulnerable, and that dangers lurk everywhere. Many times when you think you should run, you should really just slow down and think. The anxiety this game suspends on you heightens every decision, keeping you immersed and making survival feel meaningful rather than routine. All in all, I really enjoyed my experience of Bioshock. Of course I had some gripes. I found their lack of resources to be frustrating. I found the early combat to drag a bit, and I also thought the game overstayed its welcome in the final few hours. Having said that, the positives here far outweigh the negatives. I found the characters deeply compelling, the story deeply meaningful, the twists completely unexpected. I found the audio tapes to be brilliant, and the atmosphere was perfect. I found myself enjoying my experience a lot more than I thought I would. There's a speech by Andrew Ryan in one of the audio tapes late in the game. A worm looks up and sees the face of God. If you've played the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. I found it deeply resonated with me, and I have remembered it ever since. I will definitely play Bioshock 2 at some point in the near future, and I'm excited to see how it compares to the first. Thanks a lot for watching this video. If you've played Bioshock, let me know in the comments. See you in the next one.